So when I look at the definition of hybrid training, if I can spell this correctly, hybrid training, right? From a it's a fitness philosophy that combines strength, power, cardiovascular endurance into a single balanced routine. So when I go ahead and take that, that's a lot of what we do already, right? So instead of specializing in one sport or isolating lifting from running, the goal is to develop a rounded peak over athleticism.
Mhm.
When I go look at, for example, Complete Human Performance, Alex Vieta,
Yep.
when he started talking about hybrid training, it was like pairing powerlifting with a 5K run. It was pairing triathlons with strongman competitions. It was like pairing these two sports together. And I guess like for me now, over the years, and it's something I even learned as a reconnaissance marine. I'll be honest with you, when I learned as a reconnaissance marine, when I was training reconnaissance marines, and even when I was getting ready for recon school and selection, like you had to ruck, you had to run, you had to swim. So those are the three endurance modalities. But we
Mhm.
also had to be strong, right? Like, and when I go in and take into account working with tactical professionals today and getting them ready for selections, and when I talk about selections, this can even be like entry level courses for firefighters, for police officers, for like all of these low level basic selections or assessments that individual has to do.
Mhm.
There is some type of aerobic capacity component. There is some type of power component. There is some type of strength component, as well as there's also some kind of cardiovascular endurance component.
Mhm.
So, like when I go in and look at the tactical professional, they're in hybrid. You can call them a hybrid athlete
Yeah.
or a hybrid human being. Or what if we just get rid of hybrid athlete and this aspect of hybrid training, just look at like overall well-round athleticism as a human being? What it means is like, all right, sweet. I got to be able to be strong. I got to have the endurance, and I got to move functionally.
Mhm.
And like for example, like right now, right? Like I don't have no big races right now, right? Like there's nothing really going on. Like can have I been dropping 40 miles a week recently the past few months to get ready for some of our pacing duties and just to be able to enjoy being on the mountains? Sure. But before that also too, what was I doing? I was doing purely straight just strength training.
Mhm.
Right. So like in talking with Savannah about this on the way back from getting food this morning, it was she goes, you have like these seasons or stars where like you will change what you're focused on based off of the athletes you're working with in that season.
Mm.
So for
Mhm.
example, the past 3 months we've had nothing but endurance athletes doing work, and within
Yep.
that we had a mix of like CrossFit athletes doing their thing, and vice versa. It's just kind of a balance of that, right? We had our fighters from BJJ standpoint working and doing their thing with worlds and all of that, right? Like all good stuff. Now, right now, for in the next month or so, there's not much endurance races going on. There's not very many athletes doing these bigger endurance events or races, but we have the CrossFit Games coming up,
Mhm.
right? Like you're not running your next 50K until the end of August. We are like, I'm not going out to Leadville anymore after all, right? To go pace Grady to help out with that. But potentially, we have things coming up in September. So what am I doing right now with the season of life I am in? I'm actually in a legit hybrid training routine, meaning that like I'm running, I'm swimming, I'm rucking, I'm
Mhm.
also lifting, and I'm
Yep.
finding it in a balanced aspect with that. And I'm also sprinting, which I haven't done in a bit. So what I guess I'm coming to, and it comes back full circle to like kind of when we look at the company as a whole, it's like, yeah, we're a hybrid training and endurance company realistically that works with we work with CrossFit athletes, we work with combat athletes in terms of jiu-jitsu and those types of athletes. We work with tactical professionals when it comes to firefighter, law enforcement, military individuals, like all of that. And then we work with individuals who do high rocks. We
Yep.
work with individuals, who do DECA, who do Spartan races. We do that. We also then work with endurance athletes who like to go long distances in terms of rucking and running in that realm. And the main foundation of all of that, when we come back to making sure everybody is successful in that in terms of like what their success looks like, because everyone's success is different. It comes back to being able to develop a foundation of good movement economy and movement quality and efficiency and variability and patterns, as well as developing really good strength background and focusing on the endurance side of the house, of the aerobic and anaerobic side. When we talk about steady state, when we talk about interval training to improve not just heart health, but also stamina capacity. And then when we go and look at functional movements, like you're talking about today, you had to do a depth jump to a box jump, right?
Mhm.
Like you're a runner. Why would you need to go ahead and do a depth jump to box jump? But we're only implementing one power, right, as well as plyometrics, where we're
Mhm.
also increasing tendon health and tendon reactivity. And we're doing a lot of these things where ultimately it does allow for you to be that much more well-rounded. It allows for you to actually be more versatile and actually allows you to compete in different arenas, right?
Mhm.
And then when we talk about it from a metabolic health standpoint, when we talk about vitality, right? And vitality, I'm talking about like overall lifespan. When we go and look at developing that, I think that's the biggest thing we do here at Omni Athlete Training when we work with individuals. It's like, yeah, we're not just trying to get you ready for these big events, but we're also really trying to go ahead and increase and improve your vitality. It allows for you to actually, obviously, not just live longer, but live longer with higher quality,
Mhm.
right? Where we're actually looking at lowering blood pressure, improving an overall like cardiometabolic health. Like there's a bunch of things that, we can look at when it comes to improving the internal side of the house. And I think that we're so caught up sometimes in our society, and I guess I'm speaking from a generality and absolute, which I wasn't trying to, or I don't mean to, but there is that point when it comes down to that's what it is. Like we live in a society of like, hey, let's go ahead and chase the external aesthetics. Let's
Mhm.
chase the external attributes of strength. I'm back squatting 500 pounds for two. I'm squatting, snatching, I'm doing these things. Or I ran a 5K today in 15 minutes. Or, for example, right, like we'll go and look at Western states. I asked you the question. I was like, what is the theme that you see amongst all of these high performing individuals? And everything you highlighted was an external thing. There was nothing really internal that was being highlighted in that manner. And this is the big piece. We're looking at the external times. What was their paces? What were they eating? What were they doing? But what is everybody doing from what is the internal aspect look
Yep.
like? Um, and I think that's the bigger piece. And I guess you can call it a philosophical aspect and everything else like that. But at the end of the day, when I look at the aspect of who we are and what we do as a company, right? Like, because that also comes into like this office hours conversation or our omni conversation, what we want to call it. Like, we're not just talking about how to structure a training program. Yeah, can we talk about how to structure a proper training program to get you ready to do a 100-mile race, to do a CrossFit competition that competes at the high level, to go out and compete in a rugging event, to go do a high rocks, to go ahead and let's not even talk. I didn't even talk about this. Just overall lifestyle health and lifestyle training. Where like realistically, this season I'm in right now is just for lifestyle. Right, I'm not out running for 4 or 5 hours on the weekends. The longest runs I'm getting in right now are 90 minutes. Shorter activity interval stuff I'm doing, like my sprint work today, 15 to 10 seconds to 20, 30 seconds, right? To 40 seconds with 60 to 2 minutes to 3 minutes of rest in between on that end. And then when we go and look at strength, like there's just so much in that from a lifestyle perspective. And, as a company, and this is something, I have to keep grounding myself and bringing my feet back down to the ground and be like, oh yeah, we've only been around legitimately for the past year and a
Mm.
couple months to be like a legit, be like, all right, who we are. And I think we're slowly moving into like what our company is
Mhm.
and who we are as a company when it comes to Omni. And that's why I said like you when you said like you're, yeah, for now we are, but like no, but we really are. We're a hybrid and endurance training company.
Yeah.
That's who we are.
Well, it's evolving and growing, and like, that's what it is. Right? Like, it is
Yeah.
not that it wasn't before, but it's, you know, was it defining the relationship, right? It's like putting a name to it so that someone from the outside can understand too.
But that's the thing though, right? Is like I always kept I don't know. I guess it's me getting out of my own way too, right? Like I have this, and I guess maybe it's because sometimes I put myself in rooms that like utilize certain words that they're like, oh, that's such a like a mainstream word or this and that, and I'm like, and I fall into the suit of it, like, right, like you're laughing because you know exactly what I'm talking about. We're like, I'm not going to use that word. I'm going to try and create, and it's just like, no, like the niche in which Omni Athlete Training is we're a hybrid and endurance training company.
Yeah, and I think part of that comes from right now, like, this time is, like, hybrid is so associated to just high rocks at this point, right? Like, not that that's all it is, but that is, like, what's front and center, and what I think what I assume what you're trying to say is, like, we don't wanna just be a high rocks company, we're just not a CrossFit company, like, it's more like, hybrid means so much more than high rocks or CrossFit, is why.
Yeah, right. Like that's literally what it is. It's like I guess what I'm trying to say is right. Like as hybrid training has been around way longer than when we started to label it,
Mhm,
and like, and what I want to say is like I was exposed to hybrid training without labeling it hybrid training when I had to start training for selections. Heck,
mhm,
even as a kid, right? Like what we don't see today in today's youth sports is multi-athlete generation. We're not seeing the multi-athlete generation. I guess I want to reframe that. What we're
100%.
seeing is the single athlete generation where they now specify their specificity and they're specializing at the age of 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 years old. Where we're now starting to see kids burn out. This is, and I don't know how this looks like in other countries, but here in America, we've seen that,
Yeah,
right? Like, and for example, like me growing up as a kid, I'm just going to use me, and I'm pretty sure you probably have the similar with us growing up in that generation.
yep,
But I was playing soccer, baseball, football, track and field, learning how to lift weights. I
mhm,
was running, riding bikes, playing outside. I was doing all of these things by the age of my oldest daughter, by the age of 13,
yep, yeah,
right? Like going in, I was actually telling this to my daughter the other day. I was like, at my oldest, I was like, hey, like at your age, I was going into high school. My summer off season, guess what I was doing every day for 3 hours? I would ride my bike to practice
yep,
to the schoolhouse to the
uh-huh,
gym, and I would train with our athletic trainer for an hour, and then ride my bike back home.
mhm,
Did it every day during the summer, going into my freshman year.
yeah. I mean, that's what it was, like, I joke about this, but it's true, my parents worked my dad had his print shop in our garage for a long time, and my mom worked in the house and did, like, sales and all the account side. And so there was 4 of us, and we would get grounded to the outside of the house from basically when we got up in the morning until the sun went down. So we were not allowed inside except to go and eat lunch. And so it was exactly that. It was riding bikes, baseball, football, I don't know, chase each other around, scream like it was just everything you could possibly do. And like our neighbors, our older cousin would come over, and that was it. Like we just played sports all the time. And
Yeah,
it's like, yeah, did I play softball more than anything else during that time period? Sure, but I was also taking karate daily. I was running around doing all those things, like, did I play organized football? No. Did I play basketball? For a little bit, I was terrible, but we still shot hoops in the like, it was just all those things, like, I rollerbladed to summer school one year, like, to and fro like, it took me an
yeah,
hour to rollerblade, that was dumb, but I was just
yeah,
like, "This seems fun, let's just rollerblade there and back." Like
yeah. Well, and like even throw that in, right?
yeah,
Back where I grew up at, we had Saturday nights in high school, and even my freshman, even middle school time period. My mom would let me go to the skating ring from like
yeah,
7 until midnight because it was only kids. And like
mhm,
you could have parents chaperone or whatever else,
yeah.
but you would skate, rollerblade, or like do your regular skating
Yeah, roller
from
skate,
7 until 10. And then from 10 to 12 was a dance party. You take off your roller
yeah,
skates and everyone had to get on the skating ring and dance.
yeah.
But guess what would happen during that 3 hours of skating? There was always races from
Uh-huh.
not from
Just
8:30 to 9.
oh, yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
you could jump in and race. They
yeah.
would have legitimate like, all right, hey, we're gonna have a 2 lap race. We're gonna have a five
Mhm.
lap race. We're gonna have. I remember just,
Just sweating.
dude. I was about to say, just soaked
Yeah.
from head to toe, and then having to like change my t-shirt and go to the bathroom and change my t-shirt to come back and skate and dance because that's just kind of the way it was. But like that's what I'm talking about, right? Is like
Yeah.
I guess what I'm trying to say is like within Omni Athlete and what we're doing, as coaches within the company, it's like how do we bring back this mentality of like just doing it all?
We just don't play anymore.
And that's a really good point, right? Like that's the we can use my 4P model,
Yeah.
but like the very first P in that 4P model is play,
Yeah.
right?
But, like, what we're doing and what we're preparing people to do is giving them that freedom to play as well, right? Like, that's something that
Yeah,
I always look at where it's like, we can feel held back if we don't feel comfortable going and doing these things now, like, when you're a kid, you don't think about it, you just do it, especially like, I think, again, our generation was just get out of the house, go do stuff, run around, um but after time, if you don't do that so often, like, there's only a handful of people I know that if something like, I don't know, a good example was like, "Hey, I really wanna go and, like, try climbing or bouldering or something." There's, like, 2 or 3 people I could message and they would come and do it, whereas everybody else would be like, I don't know, that doesn't sound, like, in my lane," right? And it's just, like, giving that freedom to go and try new things and just yeah,
yeah.
play and have fun and be terrible at something.
That's a really good point, right? Is like again, living in a society today where like you have to be the best at everything. So it's like, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and stick in this one lane and be the
Yeah,
best at it the whole time. Meaning I'm gonna be putting and for example, we're talking about my 12-year-old, my daughter, my 12-year-old, she does gymnastics at a high level.
yeah,
Um, and like she does about 16 to 20 hours a week of gymnastics
crazy.
at the age of 12, right? And like for me, understanding what specificity is and specialization, like my thing as her dad is to like try and have her understand like that is not something that I need you to be doing at such a young age. But there is obviously a contrast of that from her mother who lives, breathes, and eats gymnastics. She coaches, she
Mhm.
does it as part of her livelihood. And obviously Malia is a part of her livelihood, so that's a big piece of it.
Yeah,
Even trying to balance out other things within that, even happening it's like, how do you have that conversation with people where it's like, hey, like your identity is not just this thing.
yeah,
For example, right? Like we go ahead and the conversation I asked you right after Western States happened, it's like, hey, what's the theme behind all of these individuals who will take we'll go ahead and take Vincent Banyard, right, who took first at Western States
yeah,
1350 or 1346, right? His identity isn't an ultra runner.
right.
What's his identity?
Mm, isn't he like a dad or something?
Well,
I
that's
don't know.
exactly what I was getting
Yeah,
ready to
yeah,
say, right?
yeah,
He's part-time shoe developer or product developer for Hoka, which before he won UTMB, he was he worked for them full time.
yeah,
He's a husband. He's a
yeah,
dad who they just had a child 7 months ago.
mhm,
So like you have this identity now where it's no longer, hey, I'm just this ultra runner, right?
yeah,
The identity of who he is like I'm bigger than that. Hayden Hawks talked a lot about it, right? Like my
yeah,
identity no longer is this ultra runner, and we're starting to see now like within that realm and within just sport. And hopefully it's starting to change more. You
mhm,
know that the identity isn't specifically the sport you do. I
right,
fell into that. It's the biggest thing when we work with tactical professionals. When I work with tactical professionals, individuals who work in that space, especially when they're transitioning out, is their identity was purely just I am Sergeant Briones and this is who I am and this is what I do.
yeah,
All of a sudden, now you get out of that environment, that lane, And now you have to re-identify who you are, create a new meaning and new purpose. When again, it goes back to this aspect of like, okay, cool, who are you,
Yeah.
right? Without this.
Yeah, and I think, it's Adam Grant talks about identity, and it's like how identity isn't like the things you do, but it's rooted in like your values, right? So you can have multiple identities that are that external facing, but your true identity comes from like your values and like who you are as a person. And then those translate into each of those spaces.
Yeah. Well, it goes back to this, right? Like when we talk about, I haven't talked a lot about this, but pertaining to the schooling community, the next course that I'm going to be developing is meaning in life. Is like how
Mm,
to develop meaning in life. Because I find that like a lot of what I'm doing when I'm working with individuals, and this is something you're learning now as a coach, is like outside of the reps and sets, the rest periods, the recovery periods, the deloads, the concurrent training management that we're utilizing, and all of these things and prioritizing, like for all of that to actually truly work and stick, there needs to be meaning in life. And a lot of the times what happens is what I have found when I've worked with individuals, there's a lack of meaning in life in something someone's doing. So they're
mhm.
chasing something to try and fulfill that meaning in life.
Yeah.
And I just had a conversation the other day. Was It was very simple. I had posted that video about, hey, strength training needs to be a big part of your endurance training. Don't always add more volume in running, but adding more strength to help with that out. And I got
Mhm.
a response back saying that I'm not sure if I can run long distances now, no longer in a depressed state.
Yeah.
I don't know what it would be like to run in this happy, joyful state that I am actually in. And I haven't like responded back to it yet. And it's because like when I got into ultra running and endurance, I got into it because I was chasing something.
Yeah.
And what it led me to actually find was meaning in life. It actually led me to finding purpose. It led me to finding this, which ultimately helped me find joy. And now, like, I can go run for an hour and a half to 3, 4 hours out in the mountains, even 6 hours if I want to, without having a race on the calendar.
Mhm.
It's actually harder for me to sign up for a race than it is just to go ahead and throw my shoes on and be like, all right, I got 6 hours. I'm gonna go play in the mountains for 6 hours.
Yeah.
It is. And so in the past, it used to be like, well, I'm in this state of sadness, in this state of loneliness, this state of instability, this state of all of these things that led me to being like, I'm going to sign up for the race and this is my goal now. To
Yeah.
where now in my headspace where I'm at, I'm I'm in the place where it's like, yeah, I'm in a very healthy, happy, stable, joyful place.
Mhm.
To where like signing up for races don't fuel my fire no more.
Right. Yeah.
Right? Like it's no longer my identity. It's no longer the thing I need to prove to somebody. In my time will become more like, oh, cool, I have time to go race. Cool. But unfortunately, and not even unfortunately, it's just teaching me to love things in a different way than ultimately loving it because it gives me this identity of like, look at George completing all these races.
Yeah, and it's what's so I yes, because you hear it all the time, like, I think we've spent a lot of time in these spaces, like, especially in the last few months around a lot of endurance athletes and, like, hearing why they're doing something, and you always hear, "Oh, everyone here has trauma, and that's why they do this," but it's actually, like, adjacent to this, I'm starting to think through it's like why people work out in general, right? Because if you're just showing up to the gym to do it just every day, like, I don't know, like, maybe it's not as important for no, I think it is. I think it is as important for, like, a general fitness, right? Because without some sort of purpose, like, why are you doing this? Then you're not going to continually show up, and then it is just the reps and sets, and it doesn't have to be some big event or big thing. It's more about, I wanna be healthy for my kids, right? And that is
Yeah.
purpose, and so when I don't know exactly where I'm going with this, but, like, I think, the way you're talking about it and the way I tend to think about it is on these bigger platforms of, like, yeah, 4 or 5 hours in the mountains. A lot of people will listen to that and be like, that's not I can't relate to that," right? Like,
Yeah.
1, that's out of my realm, but think of a 45-minute training session. If you're just showing up and you're fueled by, like, I don't know, things that aren't like true purpose to yourself, and it's more about, "I wanna look like this," or not that that's not a valuable thing, but, like, "I want to do this because I feel like I have to do it," or, "I need to do this for this reason," or, just, like, "I had a bad day, so I have to go work it out." Like, how do you change that relationship with, your standard strength training session and, like, make it more purposeful to what you're doing?
Yeah. I, so, like, since we're going down this path, right? One of the biggest things that I've learned and something I've dove into more is this concept called logotherapy,
Mhm.
and it was actually developed by his name is Viktor Frankl. He wrote the book Man's Search for Meaning, which,
Yeah,
by the way, I probably go
I'm
for it.
like 2/3 through it. It's hard to listen, so I listen to a lot of audiobooks. It's really hard to listen to in big chunks because it is very intense. So for anyone that
Yeah.
hasn't
So
read or listened to it.
I haven't listened to it yet and haven't read it. I told someone I don't want to read it, but I'm reading his other book called Yes to Life, which
Mhm.
is pretty much all of his um it's all of his lectures he's done after he got out of the Holocaust when he was in a concentration camp. So
Yep.
for anybody who doesn't know Viktor Frankl, actually what's really crazy is before he got put into a concentration camp, he actually was helping World War I vets get rid of PTSD and suicidal tendencies, is what he was doing. And to go ahead and talk about what logo is, it is actually a Greek word. Logos is a Greek word which stands for meaning. And ultimately, it operates on the core premise that primary human motivation is not pursuit of pleasure or power, but a will to meaning. It's an innate drive to find purpose in life. Ultimately, that's what it is. And I've been going down this path because obviously, like with my PhD program and trying to figure out meaning in life for veterans transitioning out of the military and just half professionals in general, I've really gone down this path. And the three basic pillars of logotherapy are built upon these like philosophical assumptions, which is like the freedom of will, which everyone knows exactly what that is, right? And what that means is like humans are not completely, determined by genetics environment. Now, with enough information, your genetics, your environment can give you information and data on like how you navigate your freedom of will, but we always retain to the freedom as a choice and how our attitude is towards circumstances,
Yep.
right? Like that's the big piece, and that's one of the pillars. The other pillar that I've learned about is like the will to meaning. So you're finding purpose in your primary internal driving force, right? So you're looking at it from a suppressive aspect as it like creates an existential vacuum, which means that we categorize boredom, apathy, and depression, which we see that everywhere, right? We
Mhm.
know exactly, you connect those two. And the next big piece of the pillar of that is called meaning in life, which is like meaning is the objective reality that exists in the world waiting to be discovered, right? It can be found under any circumstance. And it also talks a lot about this unavoidable suffering.
Yeah.
So we have unavoidable suffering, which we know happens. Death, sicknesses, we see it all around the world. That's just the way the world was created after. We can go down the rabbit hole from a biblical, theological standpoint, right? Like when Adam and Eve ate from the tree of life, the world now was going to be walked amongst of it being broken and a
Mhm.
sinful world. Well, that's part of it. But at the same time, though, like we also have the ability to find meaning within the circumstance if we choose to, based off of this will of meaning and freedom of will.
Right.
The cool thing that we would do when we work with individuals in this space for Omni Athlete, when we work with individuals one on one, we actually get to teach them to go ahead and look at how to go ahead and get through this voluntary suffering when we talk about
Yeah.
ultra marathon races, training, so that it only strengthens them and helps them develop this meaning in life and this will to meaning and freedom of will when they are put into these places of unavoidable suffering.
Yes.
Right? Like that's like I was talking with Clint the other day, and I was like, hey man, like over the past year, what have you learned? Like
Mhm.
being able to go step up and walk into a 100-mile ruck race and complete it now. He's like, dude, like I believe I can handle anything thrown at my way now.
Yep.
But when you go ahead and look at, for example, we asked him after he got done what helped him get through that 100-mile race. What did
Mhm.
he say?
This is daughter. It's a trinket.
His children, yeah. The little
Yeah,
trinket, right? That
yeah,
that that was, again, there was a meaning to life for him in those moments when he started feeling this apathy or this depression or boredom of moving for X amount of time. He
yep,
looked down at this trinket in the middle of it and it brought him out of it
yeah,
because that meaning in life. And I think that is the biggest piece here when we talk about what we do as coaches and what we do in this business of human performance development is it's like we're not just developing humans from a strength, endurance, capacity standpoint. We're
yeah.
also now developing them on the internal aspect. So when we go back and look at, all right, where are all of these individuals, again, going back to that question I asked you about those individuals who in the top 3, 5 of Western states, what do they all have in common?
Mhm. They
And I'm
have
going to give you the answer now.
they have purpose and meaning.
Correct. But they also have stability,
Mhm,
right? And sustainability.
mhm.
You can't have stability without sustainability.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's just like, was it hierarchy of needs?
100%. And
Yep.
that's kind of where it's at right now, right? Like, and we go and look at the individuals that we've helped complete their events and their efforts.
Mhm,
What has gotten them through their events and efforts on a high with joy
mhm.
without avoiding massive emotional dumps and lulls?
Yep.
They've had meaning in life,
Mhm.
they've had sustainability and stability.
Yep.
So when we go ahead and start working with individuals, and when we're working with individuals within the company, we're not just building these characteristics of concurrent training and all these other things. We're trying to develop this meaning in life, sustainability, and stability so that you can be successful and have joy in the things you do. That's the biggest piece I'm finding as a whole when it comes to this. And that's the reason why I feel the next course for the school is going to be this logotherapy mental performance slash whatever we want to call it course where we're helping develop these better frameworks of improving meaning in life, sustainability, as well as stability.
Yeah. No, absolutely. No, and I think that makes, it makes sense because so, like, we've talked about this, and I guess since we're recording, I can talk more about it. But like, so like I ran San Diego 100, and after that, it was just like very empty and wasn't like I just was like, okay, I did this thing right, and there was like, and I was missing a lot of those components. And not saying that it's all there now, but then when I ran littles, what, 6 months, not even 4 months after that, like, I finished that and I was just in, like, the happiest place. Like, after San Diego, I was like, "I don't wanna run again. I need a break. I don't wanna do this for I don't even know how long." And then after like, in October, so yeah, like, 3, 4 months after littles, I was like, "This is great. Like, I could keep going. I feel so good." Like, everything just felt in place. And I think between those 2 times, like, some of the things had changed, like the relationship between what I was doing, because when I was training for San Diego, it felt very like, I'm doing this, I'm like, it was working towards that specific goal and not doing it for, I'm enjoying doing this. Like, not that I didn't enjoy it, but it turned into something that felt like work, right? Like that it was just like it had to be done. And that relates then to, I think, what I said before of just like, if you're going to the gym 3, 4 days a week, just because you feel like you have to do it, it's not going to be sustainable. And like, you
Yeah.
know, we talk about like just energy and how you put things in a certain way. And if you always bring a very just like hard and negative just energy to what you're doing, it's not that you won't get results out of it, but it's like at what cost, first of all? And then if you bring a better view or you bring that meaning to it, will the results be better? Right? Like it's like changing the tone around what you're doing, right? Like it's like the I have to versus I get to. But
Yeah, it's a really good point. No, 100%. And I think you highlighted a few points in there. I think the next word I want to talk about is values.
mhm,
Is right. Like when we talk about, and within like this logotherapy framework that Frankl actually talks about, he argues like we don't ask like what the meaning of life is. Rather, it's like life asks us. So we don't respond through, and like we must respond through action, right? So like the idea here is these values, and what I'm talking about that is like, you know, the question is like, the example I'm going to use right now is like it's a mountain, like on the mountain, right? A lot of times what happens is like we ask ourselves like, what am I going to give to the mountain? When
mm,
actually the question is, what's the mountain going to give me?
mhm,
Right. So what is life asking of us? Right. It's the same thing taking this sweet potato, right? Instead of being like, I'm going to take, like, what am I going to cook with this sweet potato? It's more of like, what is a sweet potato able to cook for me? Like, what can I cook with this sweet potato? And then you have multiple different answers,
mhm,
right? Like if you look at the sweet potato and be like, all right, what can this sweet potato give me? Like cook, like what can I cook with the sweet potato in this aspect? And it might sound confusing, but what I mean by this is like if I just have a direct question, being like, I'm just gonna go and cook the sweet potato and put it in the oven and just make sweet potato fries,
yeah,
right? But the meaning of that sweet potato is a lot deeper than that.
mhm,
And what I mean by that, there's multiple different ways to cook a sweet potato. You can do multiple different things with it.
yeah.
So the
Like, you
same
have
thing
to
here to the
adjust
value.
it to what you're doing, right? Like, it's maybe here's what I think you're saying, or how I'm understanding it, is,
Yeah.
like, if you're just like, "This is what I'm doing, I'm making baked sweet potato, boom, done," and then you have all this other stuff that you're like, "Well, this doesn't go together," but if you looked at, like, the full picture of, like, "Oh, I have, like, barbecue chicken and these things, so for this sweet potato, like, doing it as mashed or hash browns or something like, it makes more sense with what I'm being given as a whole. So it's, like, not so, like, point to point, but looking at the picture of, like, I could do this, but I don't know, make it, like, fit, 1, the environment, but everything else, like, around it? Is that
Yeah,
kinda where
100% is the
yeah,
way
yeah,
you can totally look at it that way, right? So like the three pathways that like that are like the three pathways to meaning, and I've utilized this before, right? And the way that we look at it, right? There's like the creative values, right? And what that is like you're creating work, doing a deed, or fulfilling a hobby or project or career goal that brings you joy, that brings you happiness,
yeah,
right? So like you said on an Instagram post the other day, if I'm going to go out and run and it's not bringing me happiness, it's not bringing me fulfillment, it's not doing something for me, why do it? Same thing with your career, right?
yep,
From an experiential value aspect, like by creating an experience or experiential value is kind of the way I guess you could say it. It's like you're experiencing something or someone through like love,
mhm,
relationships, nature, art, and culture.
yep,
That's all we have is love. We have is relationships, nature, art, and culture, right? And then like an attitude style value, which is like you are choosing a courageous attitude towards unavoidable suffering, thereby like turning a personal tragedy into a human triumph,
yeah,
right? So like, okay, cool. I didn't eat enough calories in this race. Now I'm suffering for it. How do I turn this into a positive?
yeah,
Or I lost a loved one, right? It's unavoidable suffering. What is the lesson that's being taught to me right now? And how can I take this to help someone else? Right. So now you're creating one, you have a different attitude towards it. You're now creating a different experience towards it with love to help that. And then now you're also fulfilling you're doing it through a good deed because it's making you feel good. Right.
Yeah.
The idea here is like, when we go and look at climbing Mount Everest,
Mhm.
everyone looks at climbing Mount Everest just as going straight to the peak. But how many base camps is there to get to Mount Everest?
It's
There's
like
multiple, I
horrible,
think it's about three or
right?
four.
Yeah.
Yeah, that you got to climb to. So instead of looking at just climbing Mount Everest as Mount Everest, you take each base camp at what it
Mhm.
is to allow for you to go ahead and to just chip away slowly through this like values of developing a meaning of life that allows for you to do that. I mean, we even had that happen with Mark at Cocodona 250, right? There was a point where he was like, "Hey, I'm just going out for a 12-mile run. I'm just going out for a 20-mile run. I'm
Yeah.
just going out for this. I'm just doing that." So there's
I
a
He was
really
like, "I'm getting to that tree at one point," right? Like, it
correct,
doesn't have to be so grand.
correct.
Yeah.
Correct, right? Like, hey, I'm only going to run for a mile and then I'm going to walk for the next 800 meters. I'm going to run for a mile. So I do it I do that in training still to this day. Like, when I'm running
Mhm.
and I'm like, hey, I'm going to run this mountain. I don't look at running up the whole mountain. I look at it like, all right, hey, I'm going to run. I'm going to see that white bush there. I'm going to run to it. Okay, cool. I'm going to run to the next white bush. And you're just slowly taking out this big piece and you're just chunking it down to have a better meaning in life that is stronger, more durable, more resilient to get through it instead of looking at it such a big aspect
Yeah.
as a whole. So, yeah, we just got done with the Sleep 101, rebuild, which we had about 5 individuals go through it. Some of them didn't get to finish all of it, some did. We saw some really good results off of it just from some of the basic stuff we asked them to do, which kind of highlights a lot. Like, you don't need anything fancy and complicated with it. The same thing here. What I'm looking forward to doing is this logo therapy, this meaning in life style course next. I think this is going to be something that a lot of people will probably benefit from. It'd be a different perspective, but I'm really excited to dive into it as well. When that course will drop, I won't give a date on it just yet because I do want to start building out the framework as we just finished the Sleep 101. But we'll be talking a lot more about this stuff, I'm pretty sure, as we go through it and bringing it up within the school community as well. But yeah, if you have any questions, comments, go ahead and post them in the school community. If you're listening to this on YouTube or through the podcast on Spotify or Apple, go ahead and reach out to us on there as well. Or if you have any personal questions or you want to talk to us one on one, reach out to either me, George at omniathletetraining.com, or reach out to Sam at omniathletetraining.com. We would love to communicate with you guys and talk to you about that as well. Currently, right now, we are dropping the Mobility Volt, where you can get it for $24 or $25 off as well, and you get access to a free PDF through the Sleep 10 for the Sleep 101, which will then also help you get a better understanding of what the Sleep 101 course is. As well as with that, if you are looking for any kind of training program or working with us one on one, feel free to go to omniathletetraining.com and schedule a consult through there, or again, reach out to us directly through our emails. And yeah, thanks again for listening and partaking in our conversation. And we look to continue to bring in more. Thanks.